What is going on, everybody? My name is Keenan Costain, and welcome back to another episode of Hornets Recaps Special Edition. And on today's episode, we have breaking news out of the NBA from the Detroit Pistons game and Charlotte Hornets game that took place on Monday. The breaking news coming from a few hours ago that the NBA will suspend Moussa Diabaté, Miles Bridges, Jalen Duren, and Isaiah Stewart. And without further ado, let's get into the information. All right, so breaking news once again. The NBA has suspended Moussa Diabaté, Miles Bridges, Jalen Duren, Isaiah Stewart from upcoming games. So for the Detroit Pistons side, Jalen Duren will be suspended for 2 games. So Jalen Duren suspended for the Toronto Raptors game later tonight, 7:30 p.m. And the New York Knicks game which will take place on Thursday, February 19th at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. For Isaiah Stewart, he will be suspended for 7 games after the altercation of coming off the bench and trying to face Miles Bridges, trying to protect his teammate Jalen Duren, that being Isaiah Stewart. So the games that Isaiah Stewart will be suspended for will be against the Toronto Raptors on February 11th, which is today. Got the New York Knicks on February 19th. The the Chicago Bulls on February 21st. The San Antonio Spurs on February 23rd. The Oklahoma City Thunder on February 25th. The Cleveland Cavaliers on February 27th. And the Atlanta Magic on March 1st. So he will return on March 3rd, which will be a road game against the Cleveland Cavaliers. And again, for Jalen Duren, before I forget, he will be back against the Chicago Bulls on Saturday, February 21st. For the Charlotte Hornets, Miles Bridges will be suspended for 4 games throughout this stretch. So the games that he will miss will be against the Atlanta Hawks, which is tonight at 7 p.m., the Houston Rockets right after the All-Star break on February 19th, which is a home game, the Cleveland Cavaliers on February 20th, which will be a home game, and the Washington Wizards, which will take place Sunday, February 22nd, a road game at 6 p.m. For the return of Miles Bridges, it will be against the Chicago Bulls on February 24th. Same thing for Moussa Diabaté. It will be a 4-game suspension. Again, the game that he will be returning to will be against the Chicago Bulls on February 24th. Now, with these suspensions being in place for the Charlotte Hornets, is the Hornets' momentum in jeopardy? I say yes, because of those 2 players of Moussa Diabaté and Miles Bridges being in the starting lineup. And again, and with the starting lineup this year of LaMelo Ball, Con Knipple, Brandon Miller, Miles Bridges, and Moussa Diabaté, they're 15-2. And definitely some rotations are definitely going to start during these 2 players being suspended for 4 games. Now, what is the rotations going to look like? Definitely going to be some more bench players like Tidjane Talon, and you have Trey Mann playing more minutes, and possibly PJ Hall backing up Ryan Kalkbrenner, because looking at the depth chart, we have Ryan Kalkbrenner as the backup center and PJ Hall being a two-way player. And this was news earlier this week of PJ Hall and Tidjane Talon being called from the Greensboro Swarm. So expect PJ Hall and Tidjane Talon to get minutes starting tonight with the Atlanta Hawks game. Now, what do I think of this news that broke a couple hours ago? Well, I say it's the right thing to do. I say it's the right amount of games for Moussa and Miles to be suspended for. I definitely agree on the NBA's behalf. But as for Jalen Duren, being suspended for 2 games, I really think it should be at least 4 to 5 games because if you look at some of the replays, Jalen Duren did not take too kindly of Moussa Diabaté after he got fouled, and they both butted heads, I should say, during the altercation. And Jalen Duren put his hand on Moussa Diabaté's face, and as you see in multiple replays in this altercation, Moussa Diabaté decided to go after Jalen Duren. So with that, I really think with Jalen Duren, the suspension should be a little bit more than 2 games. I think it should be close to what Moussa and Miles got, 4 or heck even 5 games, because it was such a careless act by both players for sure. As for Isaiah Stewart, 7 games, I think that's plenty. He's dealt with plenty of history throughout being kicked out and suspended throughout his career. I don't know the count of how many technical fouls he's gotten or how many technical fouls that he's been kicked out of the game, but he's been in some sort of altercations throughout the years with being on the Pistons. Now, like I said before, I believe the Moussa Diabaté and Miles Bridges games are correct in my opinion. It's the right amount of games for them to be suspended. I truly believe that. And heck, I'm a Hornets fan. This is why it's called Hornets Recaps. And with Moussa Diabaté and Miles Bridges, they're definitely going to be missed during this time. And let's see if any of the bench players can step up during their absence. And I really think they can. It's going to be a tough go during the next few games, which is against Cleveland and the Houston Rockets coming up later next week. So with Moussa Diabaté and Miles Bridges gone, the starting core will not have their small forward and their big man, their center, and the lineup. And now, as for the potential starting lineup of tonight's game against Atlanta, which will be the next game coming up here later tonight. So I'm going to quickly edit this together and post this before tonight's contest. So the starting lineup, I think it's going to happen tonight, and I might be wrong. This is not official. It will be LaMelo Ball, Con Knipple at shooting guard, small forward, Brandon Miller. Grant Williams will be at the power forward, and Ryan Kalkbrenner at the center. And I really think with this lineup, they do have some starting lineup experience. Grant Williams has plenty of experience starting, and Ryan Kalkbrenner did start at the beginning of the year with some lineup changes earlier in the year, figuring out some rotations, and that's probably why we got off to a slow start. And plus, some players were hurt to begin the season. With this lineup right here, I really think this lineup is going to do some good things in the absence of Moussa Diabaté and Miles Bridges. Again, they will be missed for sure, but as they say in sports, next man up. One last thing about the lineup for tonight's game, at least. It will be Trey Mann, T-John Salon, PJ Hall, and Pat Connaughton will be my prediction for this game, and perhaps some games going forward throughout the suspension of Miles Bridges and Moussa Diabaté. So that'll do it for another episode of Hornets Recaps. Again, my name is Keenan Costain, and if you like what you see, feel free to give it a like, subscribe down below for more. Let me know your thoughts on the suspensions of Jalen Duren, Isaiah Stewart, Moussa Diabaté, and Miles Bridges. Was it too much? Was it too little? Was it just right for the players that were involved? And let me know your thoughts on the Atlanta Hawks game that will take place tonight at Spectrum Center. And until next time, have a good one, folks. See ya. Bye. Hey, this is Post Keenan here, and shout out to Shams Chezriani for the update on the suspension from NBA on ESPN. Forgot to mention his name and the post that I made throughout this video of the image throughout this video as well. So shout out to Shams Sedriani for the update of the suspension. Okay.